Hi, how are you? Okay, y'all, it's just us having coffee and tea together in a room with people watching.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Okay. Production, lighting good? Sound good? All right. Production said our mics sound nice. Check one. Crib community, we're almost ready, but in the meantime, you guys okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Nice
to see you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. I'm having a bit of a delay, so I'm trying to figure out what's wrong. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you perfectly in real time. There's not a delay on our end.
Okay.
There's no.
So I'm going to be like those weird CNN correspondents. You're going to ask me a question, and I'm going to go like this.
Yes.
And then I'm going to
talk. You got
and
this.
And then I'm going to talk.
You got this. You got this.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be slow on the jokes, but I'll laugh eventually. I promise. Just give it a second.
Well, your words are matching what you're saying, so you don't look totally bonkers at all.
Okay, awesome. That's great.
And production, I can't see Dr. King's face. Like all the comments are scrolling. That's just
you can't see her?
Yeah, I mean I can see her, but she's covered by comments.
Do you want to see what I see?
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, production. Thank you. All right. Okay. So we are live on set, and we're just kiki and ha-ha. And for those of you who just joined, thank you for the love. I'm super excited. What I am kind of tripping out about is that we have gone through season 3 like that. This is episode 6, and we're going to set it off. We're going to set it off like we always do and end with a crescendo like no other. Next Wednesday, October 20th, we're going to move the conversation to a Zoom webinar. I'm going to repeat this at the end of tonight's show, but we're going to end the season off right, like no one can, with a Zoom webinar for an hour long, 8:30 to 9:30. But it's free to everybody, but you must register. So keep your eyes out for the details forthcoming this Friday for the Zoom webinar. It's going to continue to be fire. I tell you, this season has been like no other. How you guys doing? You ready?
Good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I picked out some music, which I think will set the mood. Production, thank you so much. All right. And here we go. It's an oldie but a goodie.
I like.
I don't own the rights to this song, but you guys remember this? Here we go now.
Yeah.
Here we go. I love Naughty by Nature. Okay. All right. Crib community, welcome, Crib community. When you come on in the room and hit share. Just a little Naughty by Nature playing. Feel the flow. We have 2 guests tonight. 2. We're setting it off right, y'all. Setting it off right. I see the Youth Wellness Lab in the room. Nikila, what's up? How you doing? Sarah, what's going on? Megan, good to see you. When you come on in the room and hit share. You'll have a serious fan club. There are lots of love, lots of hearts going up. I'm telling you. No pressure. No pressure though. All right. Okay, one more. Here we go. Yes. Okay. All right. Hey. It's 8:27. I'm trying to spend some time.
I have no sense of what time it is. Like we've entered like an alternate Crib community universe, and I'm just here.
Exactly. I'll just hi to some people. Hey, Kristen, I see you. Thank you so much for joining. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Who else do we have on the line? Who else do we have? Okay, Youth Wellness Lab, of course, is representing. I mean, they were here at like 8:15. 8:15. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Casey. Good to see you. What's going to see you. Good to see you. Oh my gosh. So much love. So much love. Good to see everybody. All right. 8:27. Anything you want to talk about in the next couple minutes? How's your week? Submitting those grants? Nothing? You
No
got
grants.
nothing?
No
No
grants.
Grants this week.
Okay, both of you are like, no grants. Oh, no
No.
grants this week, though.
Not
That doesn't mean.
No.
Not either. It's a good month.
That does not mean that there are grants next week. I see.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got 2 minutes. 2 more minutes.
All right, wait. I wanted to tell you, Tanya, do you recognize what lipstick I'm wearing?
Oh, I knew it. So I
You knew
knew that you were going to wear the lipstick
Yeah, I wasn't
before.
going to.
Would you like to tell the crib community the name of the lipstick? Would you?
So Dr. Sharpe named this lipstick, and it's going to be backwards, but it is Ratchet.
Ratchet.
You made it?
Yes.
How?
I mean, we didn't make it. We
Yeah.
went to like a bite lipstick
Oh,
bar.
yeah.
It was so much fun. It
I
was so
want to
fun.
do. Yeah.
I took my little sister recently, and her lipstick is named, because she just turned 30, 30 in the 6th. I thought it was so cute.
That's cute. Yeah. That's
yeah.
good.
And
That's good.
Play shade.
it's really good. Yeah. I love it. Okay, Youth Wellness Lab is loving it. Yes. The one on Queens West. They do not pay me for this advertisement, but it was a lot of fun. Actually,
It's a bit.
We could start that to pay for 30 to 30. We could start that.
Yep.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, we need to like do product placement, right?
Mhm.
And then get a free lipstick session, right?
I'm loving. Clearly, everybody's loving this idea. I'm loving this idea. And my esthetician, Kristen, in the United States is saying I want to go already. So
Yeah. That's it.
all right. I think, should I do the music again? I feel like, I don't know, like an intro. I don't know. It feels weird.
Do it.
Do
Do
it.
it. Do it. Set the
Okay,
mood.
Okay. And take 2. Here we go. All right. There we go. All right. I think it's a good song. Hey. Hey. Crib community. Yet again, for those of you who are joining us, we've been kikiing and ha-haing for the past 15 minutes. So this is the turn up this evening. Feel me flow. Feel me flow. Welcome to Crib community. Welcome. When you come on in the room and hit share. It is Wednesday night and it is time for 3830 with 2 special guests that I consider both colleagues and friends. So I'm super, super excited about this evening. Hi.
Hi.
So I am going to start off with reading your bios and we'll just get right into it. All right?
Mhm.
Let's start with Bryn. Bryn King is an associate professor at the Factor and Winnetosh Faculty of Social Work and the co-founder and co-director of the Youth Wellness Lab, a youth-driven collaborative research hub housed at the University of Toronto. She is also an affiliated researcher at the Children's Data Network, University of Southern California, and the California Child Welfare Indicators Project at the University of California, Berkeley. Dr. King has over 16 years of clinical experience in a variety of settings. But much of her practice has focused on addressing the behavioral health impact of maltreatment and violence among children, adolescents, and adults. Her research examines the epidemiology, service involvement, and outcomes of children and youth involved with child welfare systems in North America, with a focus on disparities in involvement and the experiences and trajectories of youth. Crib community, welcome. Give a big welcome to Dr. Bryn King. Okay, all right, ready? Okay. Next up, we have Dr. Stephanie Begun. I mean, y'all look at the hair. The hair is on fleek.
The hair,
Okay.
everything.
Dr. Stephanie Begun is an assistant professor the Factor Winnetosh Faculty of Social Work and the co-founder and co-director of the Youth Wellness Lab in the house. Her scholarship focuses on improving reproductive and sexual health access, education, and outcomes among equity-seeking youth populations, with particular time spent with youth experiencing homelessness. Her practice-based experience in family planning, policy, and community organizing inspired her career in social work research and teaching. Dr. Begun was recently awarded several competitive externally funded grants, Sharpe, CIHR, to investigate ways to facilitate youth opportunities to make self-determined, safe, and medically accurate decisions regarding their health and wellness. Dr. Begun is cross-appointed affiliated faculty with the Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy at the University of Toronto, the University of Toronto School of Cities, and is an instructor with the University of Toronto Center for Critical Qualitative Health. I mean, you know, I've known these folks for a while, but come on through. I mean, this is some serious bio repertoire here. Crib community, show some love, social love. Welcome, Dr. Bryn King and Dr. Stephanie Begun. Yes, yes, and yes.
Thanks so much for having us. I would like for you to read my bio everywhere I go, because I just
Seriously.
felt way about all of my work.
Seriously, like, just precede us in any room. You're like the herald, right?
Right.
I'm happy to do it. I mean, seriously, you all are you know, so dope, and you're doing such important work. And one of the things I always say on this show is, you know, we like to do work from our head and heart space, and you all do that. You all made the Youth Wellness Lab manifest because of that sort of framework that you enter the space with your work, and it's and I'm honored as the Crib is honored to be a part of that work as well. So thank you so much for coming.
We're so honored to have you. So Tanya, Dr. Sharpe, I just want to say one thing. You made me an associate professor, and like while I'm super excited.
Did I say assistant? I thought it says assistant. Did I? Well,
you made me an associate, and I'm
both
good with
of
that.
you at the Crib community have been granted tenure. Let's just. I mean,
that's good.
Okay,
That's good.
I'm ready.
Well,
That's great.
You've been granted tenure. Okay, you've been granted tenure here at the Crib community. Done. We're done.
Excellent.
I'm in.
Sorry.
Beautiful.
Well, I mean, you know, they say that, you know, your words when you speak things into existence. So let's speak it into existence, right? Let's do that. Let's do that.
I was feeling that. I was like, yeah, I like it. I like it.
So I want to ask you both, what drew you to this work? What drew you to this work? And let's start, Stephanie. What drew you to this work?
Well, as you mentioned in the bio that you read so nicely, I started out doing a lot of work with in policy and in community organizing, and a large portion of that organizing focused on youth-led organizing. And I was just so captivated by how young people, they weren't yet jaded, or they weren't yet cynical. It was more about the how might we do that, or like let's try it, like let's do that big bold idea. And I think just young people not being taken seriously and being so incredibly affected in often adverse ways by systems that were built for them without any of their input. So it could be a system that they don't work. So I was just really taken by that inspiration from young people and made a career out of it.
Yeah, systems built without their input. Dr. King?
So not so different from Stephanie. I think, you know, I say this a lot, but, you know, I myself was a bit of a troubled youth, and so went down a bit of a wayward path, and landed in a place where I really, really began to understand sort of what that relationship between like individual struggles and social structure is, and like structure, like racism, class, location, all of the isms, like, and it became tangible for me in a very real way at a very like sort of pivotal time in my life. So I think that everything that I've done sort of continues to reverberate from that kind of initial thing, that initial realization. And so I was in practice for a long time. And one of the things that I did was I ran a residential program for adolescent girls. I tell the story a lot, but so much of the work that I was doing was related to these systemic kind of log jams and like intended and unintended effects of policy. So that when I wanted to kind of get into like actually solving problems, I decided that I needed a PhD to do that. So I could like really research and understand all of those systemic issues and start to measure them. And then like sometimes that work takes you very far away from where your heart is, right? You get very caught up in the numbers and the data and the sort of the machine that is research and academia. And so for me, I think like this work with the Youth Wellness Lab is really coming back to where my heart is, but also bringing all of that stuff, that experience, the capacities like back into the work to try to figure out a way to bring it all together.
Yeah. I love the fact that both of you in various ways have mentioned the critical importance of centering the voices of youth first, you know, and then working from there. I find that just for me in my own work, I can't function if I enter from any other space where it feels not inauthentic, right? If I'm not starting with the voices of the people that I've been called to serve. So it's really cool that both of you are thinking within that framework. I want to talk a little bit more about the launching of the Youth Wellness Lab and the why and just kind of the intricacies of it all, right? So in 2020, you both launched the Youth Wellness Lab. Yes, shout out Youth Wellness Lab. Go ahead, put the hearts up. Go ahead, Youth Wellness Lab. You've been doing it all night. Now, go ahead. Go ahead, Youth
There they
Wellness
are.
Lab.
There they are.
We feel you. I love it.
There we go. I see. Just let it flow. Go. Okay, now I'm here. In 2020, you launched the Youth Wellness Lab with the goal of flipping the script when it comes to youth research. So tell us what you mean by flipping the script and why you found it necessary to do so. So start with Bryn this time?
Okay. I think Stephanie made like a really good point. You know, it's really about how we design these systems without youth like input. And I think, so there was a couple of things. One is that there's a whole bunch of people doing youth related research and we're not really talking to each other about the work that we're doing, right? And it's like gets very siloed. You do mental health, you do homelessness, I do child welfare. And young people are not existing in one system, in one space. They're not bifurcated in that way. So this is really about like, how do we sort of bring everybody together at the table to start talking about how we're doing the work. And then, and ultimately that was sort of a byproduct of this idea of putting young people at the center of the work, right? And how do we do research that centers youth voice, but isn't just like this very traditional kind of research model where academics and the ivory towers say, oh, this is a problem that I've discovered. And so I should do research on this problem and maybe I'll consult with community after I've decided what the problem is. And after I already have an idea of how I want to solve it, but I'm going to bring in community so you can consult on that. So we're like really community based and talking with the people and like, you know, it's very, and especially when it comes to youth, it's like a checkbox that you say, we brought them in, they had a thing to say, they told us their sad story, and we're done. We're still going to do what we always intended on doing. So I think that the thing that Stephanie and I have really been committed to doing is to say, we want to build something in partnership with you. So sometimes we don't know what that looks like, right? We don't even have an idea, right? We're going to come together. We're going to say, here's stuff we're thinking. What do you think? And what's going on for you? And what, you know, Stephanie's always asking, you know, and saying like, what is it that's like making you crazy in your life, right? Making you frustrated. let's see what we can do about it, and let's engage that energy that you have. But it has been really like we are this thing because of the people that we're working with, and the young people that are at the center. They have created this entity. We show up and create the space and find money and like help to move it along, but it really is their space. And now I'm going to stop and let Stephanie talk.
So what I'm hearing you say is they set the research agenda, right? They set the research agenda. Okay, Stephanie, because I have some other follow-up questions.
Yeah.
Well. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's, you know, we always try to be, we think about objectivity so much in research, you know, but everything that happens about youth is from the mindset or from the vision of the adult researcher, putting them under. So then, of course, it's built to report back those questions that the adults came up with in the first place. So I think part of script too involves young people asking the questions that they want to hear answers from adult, you know, decision makers, policy makers, influencers, community service providers. How different would our insights be if young people drove the questions that were being asked? We may have a whole landscape.
Love that. Love that. I want to ask a question, sort of a follow-up question. The word unknown, right? It almost reminds me of like a transitional classroom where you flip the script and the co-facilitator, the teacher, you know, sits back and lets the students sort of run the classroom, if you will. But this way of doing the work in an unknown space where youth take the lead in an academic setting that doesn't always embrace this innovative structure. How does that land for you? Like how do you navigate that space, being in a system that doesn't always see that in order to be most impactful, that it is necessary to be this innovative, if you will. How does that sit for you on the tenure clock, trying to, like, what does that look like for you?
I maybe haven't cared enough.
What?
I maybe haven't cared enough to know. If I'm going to really just be transparent. I want to do the work that I want to do and that we want to do because it's important. And I think if you start talking about the work and, you know, its deliverables as being actually about real things to real people and social impact, and not necessarily volume of papers or conference acceptances and whatever.
I'm sorry. Okay. I had to just go ahead. Continue.
I mean, again, like, can you follow me around and a voiceover of my life? Because I'd go to work after for that. But no, I think it's why did we...
Sorry. Hit that by accident. Go ahead.
It still felt good. No, I mean, why did we do this in the first place? There are lots of things we could do to make ourselves feel important or special or have a fancy title or whatever. Academia is grueling. It's hard. It's a ton of work. I don't think everyone realizes if they haven't been a part of it in some way. It has to have meaning, or none of this matters.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess that's why. So I'll find out, I guess, if I tenure.
I wanted to ask the question because I think it's important for our audience to hear that if you're not doing the work with the kind of authenticity and integrity, then are you really doing the work that's necessary? And so I really appreciate you all just kind of going down that path with me to put that out there. I really appreciate that.
I'll just also add, you know, I think one of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about is, you know, this ivory tower is not a space really made for anybody, anybody but white men. And so, you know, we're constantly sort of working through this culture that we were all kind of indoctrinated into as we went through our PhD journeys, and like, what do we prioritize, and when do I get featured, and how am I centered in the space, and how do I get credit and authorship and all of that stuff. And like creating a space that's actually safe for us, but for the people that follow us, and creating a space for all of the folks for whom academia is just not made for and will not work for unless we like create the right kind of space, and we do the right kind of mentorship, and we tell the truth about exactly why it's not built for us until we make it so, right? And the only way we do this is to do this work, right? And it's also just the right thing to do. You can
I mean, mic drop moments here. I am feeling that. I got like, no, I seriously got goosebumps because I'm all about it. Tell it, tell the truth, tell the truth. I think I'm gonna go to the next question. So, because you've talked about sort of authentically, or maybe you can just sandwich it together. How do you authentically engage youth in research in the Youth Wellness Lab? How do you authentically do that? And what are some concerns that youth are most interested in investigating? Go ahead.
I can start. I can do the first one maybe, because you know, like I think that authentically engaging just requires that you be authentic, right? Like it's not a thing that you have to cultivate. You just actually have to be yourself.
Keep it real.
And the other thing,
just keep it real.
Just keep it real, and like you have to actually care, right? And so those, you know, like I think young people, I think we all want to be seen and respected and heard and listened to and supported. I think younger people have worked less hard to cover all of that up. So that being authentic really is just about showing up, listening, caring, responding in a way, like doing something when somebody says this bothers me, like, okay, what do we do? Right? And then like believe people when they say
that part.
Right? Just believe people, right? They say this isn't okay for me, I'm uncomfortable, this is racist, this is whatever. Okay. We like, what do we do? Right? How do we engage? So that's what I would say, like, how do we authentically engage? Just be authentic and tell the truth.
The truth. So what are some concerns and issues that you find that youth are most interested in investigating right now in this period of time that we find ourselves in?
I mean, in this period of time, this world, wow. You know, it's been time. And, you know, I think that we've seen a global reckoning with many pandemics of different forms of racism, certainly COVID-19. So I think young people in particular have shown up in so many ways for this. They care about so many things at a social justice level, so much more than I think ever before. Young people care about all of these issues at a rate that just seems like it's exponentially higher than even when I was a kid, and certainly than prior generations. So I think that they're particularly concerned about racism globally, locally, in their communities, how it impacts them, and obviously with the intersection with COVID, mental health and isolation, what that's been like. And then we're living in this really complex time where, you know, so much is done virtually, so much is over social media. So there's just this sort of instant gratification and instant feedback, so much of which can be really negative and toxic. Young people are, I didn't have to grapple with as a young person this yet. So to navigate all the misinformation that exists, all of the pressure to be something, to be okay when you're not okay, all of that is just, it's really a harrowing amount of pressure on young people. So I'd say those are some of the things that they care about. But honestly, I've been just so moved by the altruism and the interest in making a better world that young people today really just authentically endorse.
It gives me hope how boldly and truthfully they step into addressing issues of social justice, and I feel so I'm often inspired so by their actions, for sure. So some of the current work that the Youth Wellness Lab is engaging in primarily centers on the experiences of Black and Indigenous youth who experience anti-Black racism and anti-Indigenous racism and are disproportionately represented within the child welfare system, those who are trafficked, those who are homeless, and those who experience homicide and non-fatal firearm injury. Given the multiple traumas they experience, Stephanie, you just kind of alluded to this, what are some of the challenges engaging in this work for and with youth?
I mean, I can start.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm really sort of yes to all of that, right? Like so much so. And also, I think, one of the ways that we get sort of stuck into this sort of like adult focused kind of way of thinking is we lead in our thinking with the trauma, right? And that's very present for young people, but creating spaces where youth can articulate whatever it is that's important to them. I remember last week, Dr. O was talking about, sort of her impact, like the impact of all of these traumas, these murders, and like that none of the services were speaking in a way that she could hear. Yep. And so I think it's also about creating space where we're not talking until we're invited to do so, and where we create some space for youth to author their experience differently, right? It does not like, we get very like, and this is, I'm a practitioner, I was a clinician, I'm like very like, sometimes I just slip right back into therapist mode. It's very easy to just go right there, but that's not always the first place we should go. And we just wrapped up a digital storytelling project with our team, which was amazing. And just to watch how everybody on our team just really authored their experience in a way that was so specific to them and so unexpected and so creative and such a meaningful process for them. But if we had defined and said, this is what you need to make your story about, or this is the topic we're going to do, or we're going to work out this issue.
It's no longer their story. It's no longer their story.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it requires so much humility and flexibility in all of this, and acknowledging that there are some aspects of identity and lived experience that neither Bryn nor I will ever be able to firsthand relate to, and just owning that and being transparent and saying, we have insecurities, we have senses of humor, we are real people, we have vulnerability as well, and just being ready for when people are ready to be a part of the process. It takes patience. You can't do everything on a perfect timeline. And that's how it all unfolds more organically, I guess. Maybe it's the word. So really the relationship building and the transparency about, I don't know about that, but I care too. And being there for however the work unfolds. I mean, there's so much reticence on the part of young people to even be involved in research. They've been harmed by it in so many ways. They've been tokenized, or like, okay, you're filling this identity role on this youth advisory committee. Purely the researchers are going to do whatever they set out to do, but then they look like they did something else with all this consultation and
been examined and surveyed and examined and surveyed over and over again. So
it's understandable that they look at these new initiatives and they think, no, I'm not doing that. So it has to be intentional, and it has to be honest. And it doesn't have an even path in terms of how those relationships are built, or the timelines, or, you know, if a research project starts one way and young people say, I'd like to take it in a different direction, okay.
Wow.
we roll with that.
That is a beautiful thing. And also what I'm very conscious of is how the way in which you all are responding to the questions, but the language. I don't think people understand that language has so much power and actually can serve, because I've always said that young people can see BS a mile away. They can smell it.
Oh,
They can
yeah.
see it.
That radar
So
is
the language that you're saying, the space for you to author their experience, right, is such an empowering word. And when you said being ready for when people are ready, just very simple words, but such you know, an authentic way of being, and being a facilitator versus even a director of the Youth Wellness Lab. You're facilitating this process for and with youth, which is so freaking awesome and amazing. So I digress. Oh my gosh, it's 8:58. Okay. So, you touched upon this briefly, and it's a question that I get asked for different reasons, but I want to touch upon it, and then we'll close out with the final question that we ask all our guests. But, you know, what are your approaches to navigating the complexity of community engaged, cross-cultural, racial work with individuals who may not look like you and have experienced trauma in many forms within university structures? That's a mouthful. It's a mouthful. But I think you all have talked about how they've been surveyed. They've been, you know, youth have been, utilized for research purposes and don't ever hear about the results. You've talked about the authentic ways. You know, what would you tell others about how to, start their own initiatives with and for youth? What would your best advice be, I guess, that are working across cultures, if you will?
Yeah. I think starting with why you personally care about the work. Like, I am a human being. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm committed to, and the rest kind of unfolds from there. So much of research is centered around, you know, being at arm's length or being active, or you're not inserting yourself. You know, here I think it's an asset to be part of. You're in the room. You're affecting it.
Yeah.
Don't pretend that you're not. It's actually great while you're in the room, and I think that's just what helps to build the trust, and to say, you know, while we are part of a university, we're trying to use all of these resources and privileges that come along with university for good, and you know, giving it back to who needs to be doing the work.
So did I hear you saying you're using your superpowers for good?
or at least university privilege. Yes. With my favorite saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. But I also love the fact that you brought up a statement that I often wrestle with many things, with eating, with exercising. What is your why? Start with that. What is your why? And everything else falls into place. I love that. So the last question we've been asking of all our guests, can you believe this is the last episode for season 3? I'm like, time flew by so fast, but it's been a good time spending time with you tonight. The title of the season of 3830 is Interdisciplinary Scholarship in Action. How might working across disciplines to engage in youth-led research help to address the issues impacting youth today, and what should that interdisciplinary work look like?
Yeah, I thought about this because I knew this was going to be your question, because you say it in every episode. So I'm like, oh God, I'm going to have to answer this question. I'm going to have to have a good answer for this. But I think it goes
Bring it home, no pressure. There are 42 people watching. Bring it home. Sorry.
Okie dokie. Now it's gone. Anyway.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So I think it really is gone. It'll come back.
Okay.
I think that it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that young people are not like bifurcated, right? Like they don't experience their lives as, oh, this is a health problem, this is a psychological issue, this is a social issue, this is right, like this is like a school issue. This, you know, if we're going to help young people to experience wellness in an integrated, holistic way that acknowledges the multiple systemic issues that impinge on their ability to be well, then we have to think about, like, we can't know all of the things, right? Like we just can't, right? And then you know, like I'm gonna channel Dr. Sharpe in foundations, PIE, like people, person, and environment, right? Like there is a way in which social work is interdisciplinary, but we still can't know all of the things. So we need our colleagues in sociology and criminology and education and health and psychology to, you know, public health, to like inform the way that we do our work, to guide us in our methodology. We need the thing that I've been incredibly grateful to Stephanie for bringing in, because this is where her heart is, in all the arts-based work, and how much that like allows all of these other issues to come alive in a very like real and meaningful and heartfelt kind of way. So all of that stuff is what is required to kind of do this work in the right way, in a good way.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, we take so much information and time from people for them to tell us what they want from research, how they want their lives to look different, what their hopes and dreams are. And then we say, well, I don't know how to do that, so I guess more research is needed. And it's like, you know, they tell you that it's a policy change, or we need a different app or technology or AI or, you know, whatever it is, and you don't know how to do that. You have the answer. You don't need to do more research. You need to involve more people who do know how to get the job done. So teams should start out that way, ideally, but you know, if projects take their meandering path and you come up with a different innovation at the end that's needed, you don't just write in an article, more research is needed. You figure out how to solve the problem. So it makes me so, it's so fun to me, but you know, I think that just being more creative, more flexible about the finish line.
I think interestingly, work allows us to maximize our greatest potential. It allows us to utilize social capital, and we have a plethora of it here at the University of Toronto. It allows us to really bring in a multitude of resources, and I think it makes us better community engaged researchers by being able to look at issues from a public health lens. One of the most challenging things, not most challenging, but I find myself trying to figure out how to have that dialogue across disciplines, so that individuals for my work don't say, well, that's Black survivors homicide, because that's like a mental health thing that happened in that community. And when I'm watching, when we have those conversations like we're having tonight, light bulbs are going off. They're like, oh, I'm an AI developer, but I didn't know I could develop this app for survivors to access resources. Or, oh, I didn't know that my patients, if this many Black people are impacted, there's a high likelihood that my patients are survivors. So 100%.
Absolutely. And I think about that too from a youth perspective. It just brings so many more youth to the table to participate in research too, because a whole bunch of youth don't want to be social workers, and for lots of valid reasons. But they might be interested in the project if they learn that, there's a doula, or someone who specializes in critical race theory, or an AI engineer, or someone who they can potentially learn from. It just expands who gets to participate and what brings them there. More whys are answered, I guess.
I love it. Oh my gosh. You guys, that went by so fast. It is 9:06, but your fan club is still hanging in, sending hearts and love.
They're so deep, you know, they have our backs all the time.
Yes, yes they do. They really do. They really, really do. Y'all, thank you so much for joining tonight. I really appreciate it. And I couldn't think of a better way to end our episodes. However, Crib community, we're not at the end. I'm going to say it again, what I said earlier today. Next week, October 20th, don't come here. Don't come here. Sign up for a Zoom webinar where we're going to have a whole hour to bring back and engage with our guests from the entire season to take a deeper dive and discuss further culturally responsive configurations of knowledge and action. I mean, that's a sexy title. Okay, that's a sexy title. But all of the folks are coming back to be able to talk about this for 1 hour, but you have to register. The webinar is free. So stay tuned, look out for advertisements this week, probably posted on Friday, where you can actually register for the Zoom webinar and join us next week for an in-depth discussion with all of our guests. As always, Crib community, from our crib to yours, stay safe and keep well. Good night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.